It's been a couple of months. It's been longer than I hoped the gap would be between making videos, but life gets in the way, I guess. And I've been very busy. Just moved into a new flat, which I mentioned in my last video, which is taking up a lot of my time and energy and headspace. Thinking about what I'm doing with it. I've been claiming a lot of free furniture on Facebook Marketplace and a website/app we have here in the UK called Freecycle. I don't know if it probably is in a lot of other countries as well. But yeah, I've been getting lots of free things. Yeah, it's been a while and I'm sorry. It's quite a rainy, misty, drizzly, autumnal Sunday morning here in London, and I've made myself a coffee. The weather here in London at the moment can't make its mind up. As with probably a lot of places, weather is more and more unpredictable as the years go on. But we're in sort of this weird place at the moment where summer really should have sort of ended here. You know, we're near the end of September now. Summer should have ended, but we have some of these odd days that are just so hot. Like full on summer. I think the other week, a week or two ago, we had the hottest day of the year. And I think that's not usual for that to be in September. But yeah, we'll have those days, and then the next day will be, torrential rain. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, maybe not torrential, but I went for a run the other day, and I thought this is a great time to have a run, mid-afternoon, won't be too many people about, and in the space of my run, it rained so much, I was so wet and so soggy. When it started to rain, I was sort of feeling, it'll pass, or I'm a bit worried about my headphones getting wet. And then eventually it was just like, wow, this is just, I could not be any wetter than I am right now, so let's just embrace it. I went for a very rainy run. You know, when like rain comes down and they feel like marbles, the raindrops are so big. But the day before it was really, really hot, so can't make its mind up. But yeah, today is quite a misty sort of inside day. I'm wearing trousers for the first time in a long time, and I'm wearing a big oversized jumper, and I've got my coffee to help sort of relax into this very sleepy Sunday morning. So, I have some questions and comments that you guys commented on my last video. Thank you for everyone who did. I have seen them, because I get email notifications when I get comments, but I tend not to reply to comments until I upload my next video, because that's the only time I log on to YouTube. So, I haven't read these in preparation for this video. I can just vaguely remember what they were. So I'm going to read these and find the questions and answer them quite spontaneously today. Because I know myself, and if I prepare, I'll prepare it a bit too much. And I'll be a bit too... I can get quite obsessive and perfectionist about things. So it's often better just to see what one's instinctive response to something is. So let's have a little look through these questions and comments. Okay, so Mark ASMR, who some of you might know, has asked, what's my favourite food and have I ever travelled? My favourite food, well, I am vegetarian. I don't know if I've mentioned that before. I was vegan for about 4 years, but I've been vegetarian now for about 9 years. I very, very occasionally eat fish, but very, very occasionally, which I suppose makes me pescatarian, but yeah. But it's so rare, you know, it almost doesn't, it's not like my day-to-day existence. I really love Mexican food, and I think the reason I love Mexican food is it's so fresh. You've got lots of fresh ingredients. You've got lots of colours, which might sound a bit silly, but I find that so. Always feels good when you eat food that has a lot of different colours. And there's a lot of fresh ingredients. There's spice involved, and I like spicy food. And it's really easy to do as someone who doesn't eat meat. You can use beans, and beans are really great for you. They're a great source of protein, and they're part of the food culture anyway, so they're not necessarily substituting something that wouldn't be that, if that makes sense. Yeah, and it's just got some of my favourite flavours in there, like limes. Oh, I love the zing of a lime. I love spice. I love tomatoes. Yeah, I don't know if I could say that there's like a certain recipe that's my favourite, because I do find that Mexican food is sort of like variations on a theme, really, isn't it? It's all sort of like the same ingredients in slightly different combinations. You know, if you're making fajitas, or you were making tacos, or you were making enchiladas, or you're making nachos, or whatever, it's all kind of the same thing, isn't it? And guacamole is just so good, isn't it? Honestly, I think guacamole might be one of my favourite foods ever. If it's done well. You can have really bad guacamole. Yeah, we have a restaurant here, I'm sure it must be in the States as well, called Oaxaca. And their guacamole is awful. It's so bad. It's one of those restaurants you go, oh, it's a Mexican restaurant, this will be great fun. And then you go there and you just realise it's all rubbish. You just think this is overpriced and I can make all of this better at home. Yeah. So my favourite food is probably Mexican food. Because also once you understand the ingredients, you can sort of make it up as well. I'm going through a phase at the moment with my cooking where I am sort of doing a lot more making up than I used to. And that, I think that is, it's not just abandonment, it's not just, I'm just going to absolutely make it up, which sometimes I used to do, and you find sometimes things just don't taste right because you're just mixing so many different things. But once you understand the basics of how certain recipes work, you can try adding something, you know. Like something I make quite a lot is shakshuka, which is sort of, it's basically sort of eggs that are poached inside a tomatoey, peppery, oniony sauce. But like a chunky sauce, there's like, you know, big bits of pepper and stuff in there. And it's great, it's lovely. I've made it so many times now that, you know, I feel that I can experiment and go, you know what, I've got some potatoes that need using, I'll try, sort of cooking potatoes in it as well. And then you go, oh, this is actually really nice, this works. But it's because you understand how the recipe already works. So, like with pasta sauces, for instance, once you know your various pasta sauces and generally how you make them, and what ingredients tend to go in them, and how long you fry things for, or grill things for, or whatever, then you can start to add things, and adapt it. So I'm doing a lot of that in my cooking at the moment. And Mexican food, I feel like it's really easy to do with that. You can sort of just whatever you've got that works with the cuisine, you can sort of throw in. And if you don't have things, and you don't use it, yeah. Yeah. And what was his other question? His other question was, have I ever travelled? Yeah. I travel quite a lot for work, actually. Which, it depends on the job I'm doing, because I work freelance, so my working life changes quite a lot year to year. But when I'm working and travelling, I find that the last thing I want to do when I have time off is travel or go on holiday, or I just want to be in London. But yeah, I've travelled quite a bit. I've travelled a lot around my part of the world, so around sort of, areas around the UK and Europe. I've been to the States twice. I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else further afield I've been. Something that's one that I change. I'd like to do some more travelling, like long distance travelling. It's just so hard to find the time to do it properly, and the finances to support it. Europe, and I'd really like to go to Japan, and I'd really like to go to New Zealand, and I'd really like to go to Iceland, which is probably more doable, to be honest. It's not too far. But I also try to avoid flying when I can. So places in Europe are a lot more accessible, because you can get there by train or car, and the interrailing system in Europe is quite good. So you can do a lot of travelling around Europe, interrailing. But I suppose it's all changing now anyway, with Brexit. So we'll see what the future holds in terms of travelling. Okay, let's have a look down. Okay, here's another question. So what's the first memory you remember from your life? My first memory? It's a good question. A couple of things come to mind. When I was either 4 or 5. I think I was just turning 5, or I had just turned 5. I broke my collarbone trying to climb up a water slide. The water slide was probably about that long. It wasn't a very big slide, but I tried to climb up it, and I slipped, and I broke my collarbone. And I have quite a lot of memories about that, because it was Christmas Eve, and I went to A&E and I had an X-ray, and I remember getting back home really late, sort of, at that age, it was so late, I couldn't believe anyone was awake, it was like a whole new world. It was probably like, 9 p.m. or something, but to me it was like the middle of the night, the sort of, this darker world that I didn't know existed. And, it was Christmas Eve, so there was me thinking Santa's going to be travelling around. I think it might have been on that day that I realised Santa wasn't real, Father Christmas. I remember that really vividly. And I remember coming home and there being some food left out on the side because most of my family had eaten and there was some leftovers, but they were all in bed. It was just me and my dad got home. Yeah. That was quite a big thing. And I think before that, I really remember having a toy car. Like a car you sit in. And I don't know why, I just vividly remember it. I think probably because me and my brother argued over who wanted to drive it a lot. So it became a bit of a hostile environment that I remember arguing over. This is quite a downbeat Q&A with the weather outside informing it. We've talked about Brexit, breaking bones, and hostile brotherly dynamics. The next question I must answer in a more cheery fashion. Okay. Let's have a look. Okay, Sophie Brown asks a few questions. How do I like to spend my free time? What do I do for work? And what inspired my channel? It's probably easier to start with the work question. I work in the arts. I sort of do various things, as a lot of creative people do. A friend of mine told me the other day, the new phrase is multi-hyphened professions, or multi-hyphenated professions. And I suppose that sort of fits what I do. I do various things, but I am a musician and an actor, performer, and I do some teaching, and I do various stuff. But it all sort of branches out of sort of performance and music. So I sometimes work in theatre, sometimes work in film, sometimes work at sort of in education, and it's quite hard to explain really. I don't want to go into too much detail about what I do specifically, just to keep a level of anonymity. In my spare time, I do a lot of stuff with music. It's sort of my work, but it's also sort of my passion. So I do write a lot of music, and I record a lot of music. I play in bands. I've started getting into photography, which is good fun. I long distance run, which is good fun. I'm trying to push myself further and further with that. I cook quite a lot. bit of a gamer. I'm not a serious gamer at all. I just have a PlayStation. But yeah, I play games, computer games, and I'm a big fan of film and cinema. And I go to the cinema quite a lot and see various films. Yeah, spend time with friends. What was the other question? What inspired the channel? Well, I've known about ASMR and the whispering community, as it was called before then, for a very long time, and I started listening to whisper videos and soft-spoken videos and tapping videos and things like that back in sort of 2008, I'd say 2008, 2009, and that was before it was really a big thing, but it was becoming a big thing. And I've just, been around the ASMR community ever since then. And I just felt like, there's a lot of channels now, and there's a lot of people who make these videos. But a lot of the videos I do find don't really suit my taste. Most videos are sort of, there's so many, I suppose from person to person their perspective of what videos are being made is different, but from my perspective there's a lot of whispering, aggressively whispering, tapping the microphone, sort of aggressive, non-stop sounds, and that's not really my jam. My jam is sort of soft-spoken, unintentional, relaxed, rambly, sort of slightly caught off guard style. And so I just wanted to try making some videos, because I'm sure that there might be other people who have that taste as well and feel that there's a gap missing. And it's just something different to do, something creative, something that hopefully, gets some sort of traction and that we can have fun with. And it's sort of a way of me, I don't know, just wanted to do it, I guess. Something to do that was kind of creative, that had nothing to do with my work, because my work is so creative based. A lot of creative things feel very worky to me, and I think it's good to have creative pursuits that aren't, if you're a creative person, which aren't your work, your bread and butter. Creativity for creativity's sake, creativity without perfection or deadlines or money attached to it. So, that's somewhat where the channel came from. I'm sorry if you can hear some noises. I think the neighbours are doing some vacuum cleaning and things today. Okay. This is Scotty, good name Scotty, Scotty with an IE. What is my favourite, can you hear the vacuum cleaner? I hope you can't. What is my favourite television show of all time, and what's my favourite video game? Favourite television show? That's too difficult a question. I can't answer that. I can't answer that. Possibly one of the ones I've already mentioned in a previous video. I suppose I could. I don't know. Tell you about some things I've watched recently that I thought were good. couple of shows here in the UK recently that I thought were really good. At the moment, I'm watching a show called Juice, which is quite fun. It's on BBC iPlayer, might be on other services, but it's very British, so I don't think it's probably not available in other countries. But that's really good fun. It's got an actor called Russell Tovey in it, who I quite like. And it's sort of it's a very like fluid show. It's a bit dreamy in a way. Things happen in a way that isn't completely literal, which is kind of cool. And it's queer, and it's funny, and it's a bit strange, and yeah, it's good fun. And I also recently watched a show called Champion that is really good, really good. That's another BBC production. But I imagine that might be available on other, like BBC America or something, because that show's quite a big show, and there's sort of it's based around the music world and rappers in London, and they had some quite big artists work on writing songs for the show. But that's a really good show, and it's sort of this family, and they're all involved in the music industry, and they've all got sort of different directions they want to go in, and their own priorities and their own wants and needs, and they clash, and yeah, it's pretty good, it's pretty epic. So that's going to have to be my answer for that question. Okay, so the next question is, what's my star sign and what's my music taste? I'm Sagittarius. I don't know a lot about star signs. I was actually asked what star sign I was yesterday by a bunch of my students. I had a class of sort of 25 of them, and they asked what my star sign was, and they didn't seem very impressed that I was a Sagittarius. They thought that wasn't good. I don't know why. But yeah, that's what I am. Maybe you can tell me what that means about me. And what's my music taste? Well, I think that as someone who is a musician, my music taste is quite broad. But I suppose most people's music taste is quite broad, really. Most people say that, don't they? Yeah, I suppose my taste tends to get drawn more towards the sort of indie side of things, the jazz side of things, the slightly experimental avant-garde, but not too much. Yeah, I listen to quite a lot of different types of music. I listen to musicals, I listen to classical music, I listen to jazz, I listen to pop, I listen to rock, I listen to funk and Afrobeat, I listen to some dance music, I listen to sort of indie and alternative music. Yeah. So, yeah, that's my music taste. Who have I been listening to a lot at the moment? I've been listening to this artist called Floating Points a lot at the moment. I think his real name is Sam Shepherd, and he's based here in the UK, and he's sort of like I'm going to describe him badly, I think, but he's sort of electronic producer kind of guy, but it also kind of realms into the worlds of classical music and classical textures, at least, and like jazz music. And he's got this album that's very cool, called Promises. me see if I can get it up. And it's really just one long piece. That's one idea. It definitely feels like a classical piece of work, but it involves electronics and synthesizers and stuff. And it's with the London Symphony Orchestra, and I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but Varroa Sanders. And it's sort of really simple piece, but with a series of improvisations and changing textures, and there's a big soaring string section in one of the movements. Yeah, there's 9 movements and it's 45 minutes long, called Promises. It's really interesting piece of work. I'd check it out if I were you. It's sort of really meant to be one long piece, but obviously for it to be on streaming platforms or whatever, it's been split into different movements. So it's a bit more digestible, because it's better to have, a series of tracks that are 5-10 minutes long each than, a 45-minute piece. Yes. Okay. Where do I get my clothes from? Seem very vintage. Yeah. I do have that kind of taste, I guess. A lot of them from I basically only ever buy things when they're on sale. Or some sort of bargain. So some of them are from charity shops, some of them are just from standard high street shops, but all the stuff that doesn't sell. A habit of mine that I'm giving you my secrets here, is that I often buy clothes from shops that are very much marketed towards people in their middle age, because all the cool stuff doesn't sell. Because no man in his 50s wants to buy, I don't know, a funky blue anorak. So they end up being put on sale and I buy them. I did actually buy a funky blue anorak that was reduced from £150 to £7. So that's sort of, yeah. I don't really have certain shops I go to. I just sort of have a look everywhere and just buy the stuff that's cheap. I just don't look at anything that's full price, basically. Yeah, I feel like I've given the internet my secrets, and now all the cool stuff's going to disappear from the shelves. But I don't think, there's not much risk of that yet, at least. Okay. Have I had any pets? I've never had a pet. Never had pets as a kid, and I never had a pet as an adult. That might change in the future. I could imagine having a cat, or a dog. I couldn't imagine having hamsters or birds or snakes or a reptile, or I don't know, anything else. Maybe a cat or a dog. But I used to be quite scared of dogs as a kid. So I'm quite picky with what dogs I trust. Sometimes when I'm running and there's dogs around, because often I'm running through parks and there'll be dogs. There'll be some dogs that I'm just I'm not going anywhere near them. And there's other dogs that I'm like, oh yeah, you're cool, you're chill. A dog that's chill. I don't know much about animals. It's not really my specialty. But I get on really well with cats. Cats always want to be my friend. I think part because they can sense that I'm not vying for their attention, so they always want to hang out with me. Yeah. Were there any more? I think there's a couple more, but a lot of them are quite similar to ones I've already answered. So I might call it a video there. I feel that I've been particularly rambly today, and I've probably talked some absolute rubbish, but that's okay. Yeah. If you have any sort of requests for certain type of videos, let me know in the comments. I reserve the right to not do them. Yeah, because some requests aren't really, I don't feel appropriate. But yeah, let me know. And hopefully I will see you soon for another video in the near future. And just, the video has lasted the entirety of me drinking this coffee, so it's, the perfect length of time for this video.